It was 2:07 a.m. The room was quiet, except for the faint glow of a laptop screen illuminating Ayaan's face. A notification blinked in the corner. People you may know. He stared at it for a few seconds, then slowly closed the tab. 600 contacts in his phone, thousands of followers online, and yet there wasn't a single person he could call at 2 a.m. The strange part, he wasn't even sure if that bothered him anymore. I don't need people. Ayaan had repeated this to himself so many times. It no longer felt like a thought. It felt like truth. At work, people described him as easygoing, no drama, no emotional baggage, no expectations. He got along with everyone, laughed at the right moments, replied politely, helped when needed, but he never got close, never stayed long enough in a conversation for it to become real. During lunch breaks, while others gathered in groups, sharing jokes and stories, Ayaan would grab his coffee and sit at the far corner table, earphones in, world out, safe, the illusion of independence. If you asked him, he would say he liked it this way. No obligations, no disappointments, no emotional mess. Because deep down, Ayaan believed something most people never say out loud. The closer people get, the more they can hurt you. And he had learned that lesson early. It started years ago. Back in university, Ayaan wasn't always like this. He had a small group of friends, real ones. Late night conversations, shared dreams, inside jokes that didn't make sense to anyone else. And among them, there was Zara. Zara wasn't just a friend. She was the one person who saw through him, who understood the quiet pauses in his sentences, the meaning behind his silences. With her, Ayaan didn't have to pretend, and that scared him more than anything. When closeness feels dangerous, at first, everything felt easy, too easy. They would talk for hours, sometimes about nothing, sometimes about everything. But slowly, something shifted inside Ayaan. The more Zara understood him, the more exposed he felt. The more she got close, the louder a voice in his head became. What if she leaves? What if you're not enough? What if this ends like everything else? So he did what he thought was the safest thing. He pulled away. The pattern no one notices. It didn't happen all at once. He didn't suddenly disappear or create a big conflict. Instead, it was subtle. He started replying late, canceled plans, turned deep conversations into jokes. Whenever things got too real, he made them lighter. Distance, disguised as normal behavior. Zara noticed. Of course she did. Did I do something? She asked one evening. Ayaan smiled. Nothing. I've just been busy. It was the easiest lie in the world. Why people with no close friends feel fine. This is the part most people misunderstand. People like Ayaan don't sit around feeling lonely all the time. In fact, most of the time they feel normal, because their brain has learned to associate closeness with risk. So instead of craving deep connections, they slowly stop expecting them. It's not that they don't want connection. It's that wanting it feels unsafe. So they replace it with something easier, surface level. Interactions are short conversations, controlled relationships, nothing too deep, nothing that can break them. The moment everything changed, one day, Zara stopped trying. No long messages, no "are you okay?" texts, no effort to pull him back in, just silence. At first, Ayaan felt relief, no pressure, no expectat. Ayaan's exactly what he wanted, right? Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and then one night, as he scrolled through his phone, he saw her name again, not in messages, but in a photo. She was laughing with people he didn't know, happy, moved on. The truth he didn't want to face. For the first time in a long time, something inside him cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet realization. She didn't leave. I pushed her away. And suddenly, all those years of saying I don't need people started to feel a little less true. The psychology behind it. Ayaan wasn't cold. He wasn't heartless. He wasn't just independent. He was protecting himself from rejection, from abandonment, from the possibility of being seen and then losing it. So he built a life where no one got close enough to hurt him. But in doing that, no one got close enough to stay either. And that's the hidden cost. People often admire those who seem like they don't need anyone. They call them strong, independent, unbothered. But what they don't see is the trade-off. When you avoid deep connections to protect yourself, you don't just avoid pain. You also avoid the very thing that makes life feel real. That night, at 2:07 a.m., staring at that silent screen, Ayaan realized something he had been avoiding for years. Maybe the problem wasn't that he didn't have close friends. Maybe the problem was he never let anyone become one. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel strong. He felt alone. That night didn't end the way Ayaan expected. He didn't suddenly text Zara. He didn't have a dramatic realization followed by instant change. Instead, he just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling something unfamiliar. Not sadness, not exactly. Something heavier, regret. The silence feels different now. Over the next few days, nothing in Ayaan's life changed on the surface. He still went to work, still smiled at the right moments, still sat in his usual corner during lunch. But inside something had shifted. The silence he once enjoyed now felt louder. Conversations that used to feel enough suddenly felt empty. The jokes, the small talk, they all started to feel like a loop for the first time. Ayaan noticed what had always been missing: depth. When distraction stops working. That weekend, Ayaan tried to distract himself. He opened social media, scrolled endlessly, watched people living their lives, friends laughing together, late-night hangouts, inside jokes captured in blurry photos. He used to look at these things and feel nothing. Now, he felt disconnected, like he was watching a world he didn't belong to anymore. Was I ever part of it? Or did I just leave? Most people think that those who don't have close friends simply haven't found the right people. But that's not always true. Sometimes they found them. They just didn't know how to keep them. Because underneath the independence, underneath the calm and control, there's often fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being replaced. Fear that if someone truly sees you, they might decide you're not worth staying for. So instead of risking that pain, you leave first, quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. That night, Ayaan opened his messages, scrolled down, and stopped at her name, Zara. His thumb hovered over the screen. He could text her. He could say something simple: "Hey, how have you been?" But his mind immediately filled with noise. It's too late, she's moved on. You'll just look stupid. So he locked his phone again. Why change feels so hard? Realizing the problem is one thing, changing it is another. Because the habits Ayaan had built over the years weren't random. They were survival strategies. Pulling away, staying distant, avoiding emotional closeness. These weren't flaws. They were protections. And letting go of them felt like standing unarmed in a place where he once got hurt. The smallest step. The next day at work, something unusual happened. During lunch, instead of going to his usual corner, Ayaan paused. Just for a second, he looked at a group of colleagues, sitting together, laughing, talking, living something he had always kept himself out of. His instinct said, walk away. But this time, he didn't. He walked toward them, sat down. No big speech, no dramatic moment, just a quiet, simple, hey. It wasn't perfect. The conversation wasn't deep. No life-changing connection happened. No one suddenly understood him. But something important shifted. Ayaan stayed. He didn't escape when the silence came. He didn't reach for his phone to avoid eye contact. Didn't leave early. He allowed himself to be present. Close friendships don't happen instantly. They are built through repeated moments of showing up. Having no close friends doesn't always mean you're alone because of others. Sometimes it means you've been protecting yourself so well that no one ever got the chance to stay. Weeks passed. Ayaan didn't transform overnight. He still had moments where he pulled back, still felt the urge to disappear when things got too real. But now, he noticed it. And that changed everything. One evening, his phone buzzed. A message, unknown number. He opened it. Hey, I know this is random. I saw you at work the other day with everyone. You seemed different. Another message followed. I'm glad you're doing okay. Ayaan froze. He knew who it was. Sarah. This time, the fear was still there, the doubt. But there was something new too, clarity. He understood now. That connection always comes with risk, that people might leave. But avoiding all of that didn't protect him. His fingers slowly moved across the screen. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He replied. Hey, it's good to hear from you. Ayaan's story doesn't end here. This isn't about suddenly fixing everything. It's about understanding something deeper. Sometimes, it's about invisible walls we build, ourselves, walls made of fear and past experiences. But the moment you see those walls, you get a choice. Stay inside them, or slowly, carefully, start breaking them down, and maybe, just maybe, let someone in.